Welcome back everyone. Let's take a look at the day before's 10-minute gameplay trailer they dropped about like 8 hours ago or so. I want to start off by giving them credit where it's actually due. They said they were going to drop it today and they actually did. So good on them. I'm surprised they actually dropped it considering the trademark issues they were claiming of having. But after watching the trailer, I wanted to highlight the movement. The gameplay, it looks great. It's actually being controlled by a player. It doesn't necessarily seem like it's scripted or rendered, but it does seem a little forced and staged. Most of the trailer is movement, which I was pleased to see, though the character looks like it was pulled straight from Fortnite, and so does the way they sprint. I found this interesting, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I do remember a few comments being made in the past that FNTASTIC had ripped assets directly from other games, so I can't necessarily say that I'm surprised if that's what they did with the character models. Moving on to what they showcased, and that's looting, crafting, and armed combat, as well as a few other things that we're going to cover on this video. Looking at the armed combat, there weren't many zombies that the player fought. Oftentimes in zombie survival games like these, they have hordes of zombies charging the player all at once. The zombie AI just wasn't there for me. They seemed almost like they were placed for show or target practice just for the video. This to me was a first signal that they may not have a stable enough game to include that many physical characters all at one time. What I also noticed and saw some people mention in the live premiere comment section was that the gun physics themselves, they closely resembled GTA physics. Also, something I noticed when I was watching the trailer, they are similar to the inventory images that PUBG used in its inventory. Like, I mean very similar. Just look at the ADS, it might just be me, but the in-game model looks almost identical. The sights are modeled from real life assets, so it could just be me making that distinction and kind of tripping out on the actual model itself. Now, moving on to the looting, they also crafted ammo. It was a basic crafting table and animation, but nonetheless there's crafting, so that's always good to see. Also, we can see that there are other items that will be available to craft. These include bandages, medications of different calibers, and secondary equipment. From the section they showed the weapon customization, there are basic attachments, which isn't necessarily bad, but you know, there could have been a little bit more variety, but I'll let that one go. Now, each respectively changes the weapon stats like in most other games. I would say this is the weaker part of the trailer since it's a given that survival games like this should include these features of weapon customization and inventory, as well as crafting these customizations, as well as some of the materials. But you know what, like I said, again, I'll let it go just because they actually included it in the game and it was actually fully functioning from what they showed at least. The looting is a nice touch though. What I really like is that the player is able to open doors to loot, this being cars, refrigerators, and a few other items or elements that they were able to like manipulate to actually loot, and then transitions to the inventory for some of those looting animations. But what I do want to go back and take a look at is the movement and the world layout. Like I mentioned before, the movement seemed forced, almost scripted in a way. I know that the gameplay was controlled by an actual individual, but the movement and the paths that they took seemed like they were predetermined. Now, the character was already running, and it does seem like this gameplay includes a lot of sprinting, not a lot of other interactions, but the paths that they took seemed like they already knew where they were going. The zombies were placed in specific locations where they almost knew where to interact with them and how they would interact with them. Like I mentioned before, it doesn't seem like they added too many of them because the game was unstable, and this is another reason, or my second reason, why I think the game isn't necessarily ready. If you predetermine paths within the gameplay or the footage that they recorded, it means that the rest of the game is not ready. The rest of the world might not be stable enough to explore without it crashing. So to me, these are the two key indications the game isn't necessarily ready, which nobody's really surprised about that. Now, another thing, the world layout. There's no shock that they're going to be showcasing a lot of what the world looks like in their previous trailers, and this is what they added in this gameplay trailer, right? We've already seen the suburbs, we've seen the city, but we haven't seen is the farm area where they had shown in one of their earlier trailers where it's full of hay, and the cop car rolls up to the house that's being looted. I would have loved to see that portion of the game as well. Now, one other thing they didn't add, which kind of bummed me out because it really seemed like it was already working in previous iterations of their gameplay trailers, was the vehicle drivability. Their vehicles were already working in other gameplay trailers, so I'm not necessarily sure why they didn't add it here. That would have been a great way to showcase other mechanics that have been working in the past, so that was a little bit of a bummer. Now, taking all that into consideration, what I will say is that the gameplay was released, right? Considering all the controversy that had already been going within the last 2 weeks and even a few months, they dropped the gameplay. Is it great? No. But is it something? Yeah, it's a lot better than what we had in the last few trailers, like I mentioned. It's an actual character being controlled by a player, so you know, it's better than it was just a few weeks ago, and I'll give it that, but there's still a long way to go. This is by no means a completed game, and I have a hard time believing that they're going to be able to complete it or have something anywhere near from what they have actually showed us in the past by November 10th. To me, it seems like this was just kind of rushed. They needed to put a lid on all the PR scandals that they've had in the past. This is just my quick breakdown of the gameplay. I didn't necessarily want to make this video way too long, more than 10 minutes, because that's the actual gameplay itself. This is where I'm going to leave it. I think this is going to be my last iteration of the coverage of the day before on my end. I want to move on to other projects, and it seems like there's a new story coming out about this game every other week, so I'm just going to let other people take up that job and do a better job than I do. I was just really interested about taking a look at what this game was going to be and what the controversy was going to lead to, but at the moment it seems like they're kind of on track. It's better than what we had, like I said. That's all I've got for you guys today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on those bell notifications if you're interested in seeing more of my content. Now, one more thing before I end this video, I do have a Discord server if you want to join that. The link is down below. I post all my content there. I haven't been active recently just due to school and stuff, but I've been wanting to revive that server and have more people join, so feel free if you want to keep up to date with a lot of the things that are going on this channel. I post all my links there, like I said, so go ahead and check it out. But with that said, that's all I've got for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.